Hello, internet friends. Welcome back once again. Thank you all so much for joining me here today. A little bit different video for you. This is going to be my USAPL 2016 Raw Nationals recap video. It was held in mid-October down in Atlanta, Georgia. I apologize for how long it's taken me to get this out, but you may be able to tell just by the quality of the video that I've been having a couple of technical difficulties. My laptop decided that it wanted to it just gave up on life and dove off the table. So we're practicing gratitude and just moving forward with whatever the universe gives us. I do have a tendency to ramble already in my videos, so I'm going to try really hard to keep this as succinct as possible, but if that fails, I apologize in advance. But thank you for being here to listen anyway. So first off, the overall general Cliff Notes version was I had a great time. It was a great experience, and I did pretty well. I was almost perfect on the day. I had one execution error there at the very end, and it was just shy of pretty much executing the plan perfectly. But given how my preparation had been going into this meet, we spent 8 months prepping for this meet. I would say 6 of those months were not as well spent as they could have been, and I've talked recently in some of my more recent videos, I guess, about sort of the place that I was in mentally and some of the things I had to do to turn that around. But so we had 2 solid months of momentum going into the meet, and really paid off. I think that we were able to execute, again, almost perfectly. So right into it. First off, big shout outs and thank yous to Eric and Hanny, who are my coaches through the Strength Athlete, to Bryce, who got me involved in that, to Joe Stanek, who was the intern, is now a full-fledged, full-time member of that coaching staff. Congrats, Joe. Eric, Hanny, and Joe pretty much took care of me through the entire meet. It's the first time that I have not had to worry about literally anything myself. I didn't have to time my warm-ups. I didn't have to load my warm-ups. I didn't have to even call attempts. Eric and I kind of went over some attempt ideas of kind of where we thought we were based off of training and everything. But after my first squat, I told him, like, you don't even have to really consult with me. I just trust your judgment. Put it on the bar and I'll move it. If you think I can get it, I'll get it. So I'll just go right into the lifting, I guess. Opened up my squat with about 590, a very conservative opener based on how training's been going. It felt very good. I even pitched forward a little bit and still got it with no issues. It felt very strong, so we were very confident moving forward with the plan. Jumped up to 622. Again, felt very comfortable. I do believe that one of my hips, I know that one of my hips has a tendency to sit a little bit lower than the other, and we did get one depth call. I think that that's what it was, and so we went back and I reset the hip like I do every single day. I just hadn't done it going into this meet, so maybe that's what the judge was seeing. But I wanted to make sure for my third attempt that I left no doubt, so I went out there and we loaded 644. Based off of how training was going, this was right where we thought it would be, and it was very comfortable. Technically, that's a PR for me a meet PR for me, especially at this body weight. The most I've ever squatted in sleeves was in a USPA meet where I weighed 220 and squatted 651, but 644 much more easily than that 651 was at 205 with a hour and 15-minute weigh-in was pretty. That's exciting for me. I think that shows that there's been some market improvement, and there's still some things to improve. I did get one red light again, but it wasn't for depth this time. It was a blue card, which I believe means that I failed to reach full extension on either before the lift or upon completion of the lift. I don't know if that means that I was already in a little bit of a hip hinge with my low bar position, or that my knees were soft at some point, but I'll be looking into that and trying to make it just remove all shadow of a doubt moving forward through my training. I think that there's an old saying that if you got 3 white lights, then you're working too hard, And I would counter that by saying if you only got 2 white lights, then you're giving that decision up to someone else. So always strive to be as convincing as you're able to, especially when you're in a federation that is a very strong and proud reputation of their stringent adherence of the quality of the lifts, and just making sure that the standards are always withheld to a high degree. You signed up for a USAPL or an IPF meet, you have to expect to meet their standards. You put yourself in that position. So felt very good, very happy about that. Moved on to the bench press, and it went pretty much according to plan as well. So we opened with a very conservative 350 and jumped 20 pounds almost to 369. It felt very comfortable. One of the judges felt that I kind of double paused, or that I kind of heaved a little bit with too much of a sink and lost some tightness on the chest. So on my third attempt, we were very conservative again, 374, and I tried to correct that. I have made it very clear to both Eric and Hanny that when I miss a press, it's not usually due to a strength issue. It's usually due to a lack of execution. And I do have my bad shoulder from where I tore something in here in high school football. It's never been repaired. So when I start to struggle on a press, this elbow will tuck in, and it will make the press look really ugly and really crooked. So I could lock both these arms out, and this is still lower, and I have to push my scapula forward. So I started thinking so much about the tightness on the press. When I started getting up a little bit with it, this started to do that thing, and all I'm thinking about is, keep my butt down and don't let my head come up, because my natural reaction to that is to try and do anything I can to get myself out of that position. So I was able to hold it together, again, 2 white lights, and it looked way more difficult, or way more like it looked way more hit or miss than it felt. I was confident from the entire start of the lift that I was going to be able to press it out. I did not feel at any point like I wasn't going to be able to lock that out. I was just so focused on making sure that I didn't shoot myself in the foot by doing something else that would make the lift not count towards the total. So was able to get that bench press. I've been pressing 375 twice a week for at least 2 or 3 weeks leading into the meet, so that was very comfortable in terms of where our expectations were. And then we moved on to the deadlift, which is where the one real mistake of the day, my execution error, came in. And I think, reflecting on how it happened, I think I know why, and I'll go into that in a second. We took a very, very conservative opener. We took a very, very conservative second attempt, knowing or expecting me to have a pretty big pull and be able to make up some room and pull what I needed to for placement. So we opened very conservative with like 677, the lowest deadlift opener I think that I've had in any competition in like 6 years or something. And it was very, very easy. Moved on to 705, which is a number that I had doubled for a pause dead in training after hitting a pause dead PR right beforehand in an extreme fatigue dead. So again, very comfortable on the second. It moved very well. And everything pointed to me being able to pull what we had expected me to be able to pull. The second wasn't slower than we thought it would be or anything. It was very, very strong. Eric called for 738 when we had kind of anticipated me being able to pull 750 if we needed to on the day, based on training, based on how everything else was moving on the day. But the thing we did not factor in is what happened during the weight cuts. So you might have noticed when we were talking about, it wasn't a 2-hour weigh-in for me, it was an hour and 15 minutes because I missed weight initially. Traditionally and historically, I have a tendency to come in very underweight, and we were trying very hard to give less body weight away in this competition. We knew it was going to be very, very competitive, and very just wanted to make sure that I was in the best situation that I could be in terms of being as close to the top of the weight class as possible. At my last USAPL meet, I started at the same body weight that I did this time at the beginning of the week, around 210, so it wasn't an extreme cut. But the last time I dropped all the way down to 199 for the morning weigh-in. This time it was an afternoon weigh-in, and I think we just missed a combination of mistiming it and my body just having a hard stop at 206. So weigh-ins rolled around, and I was 0.8 pounds over. So I let Eric know. He sent out another TSA athlete. Big props, shout outs, and huge thank yous to Chance Mitchell, the junior 205 lifter for the TSA. He had a great performance at the meet in Atlanta, and I got to spend some good time with him, and he kind of saved my bacon on this. Brought out a giant bag of Sour Patch Kids, so we're going to spit out the weight. For anybody who's not familiar, sour candy causes you to salivate more, and when you're not able to go to the bathroom and you're holding water in some way, it can help you drop water. Would not recommend. 10 out of 10, do not play that game. I wouldn't say I even spit out the weight. I put handful after handful of Sour Patch Kids in my mouth and just drooled for 45 straight minutes into a shaker cup. I think there are some other candies that are probably more preferable to that. I gave myself a chemical burn on my tongue. I couldn't eat or drink anything without pain for about 5 days. So that is one of the that's one of those lessons that you learn that really sticks with you through painful reminder, quite literally. But we're able to make weight. But what happened is because that cut into 45 minutes of the weigh-in time, I did not have nearly as much time to kind of get everything back into my system. So I drank enough water. I tried to refill my sodium, my potassium levels, get some electrolytes in me, did all the things that you normally do, but the uptake for those things into my body was slower. Because even if you drink a gallon of water after being dehydrated, it's not like it absorbs back into your tissue instantly. You have to have time for that to happen, which is why the 2-hour weigh-in is kind of an important amount of time for that to happen. So I think what happened was we got to the last deadlift, and my body just was in almost an artificially induced fatigue state, through the dehydration kind of carrying over. Maybe squats took more out of me than I realized because of that, even though they felt very comfortable and smooth, and I didn't have much of a grind on anything. But that final pull wasn't there on the day, and so we will learn from that and grow from that. It's really tempting to want to do a shoulda, coulda, woulda kind of situation of, well, if I would have pulled that third deadlift, it would have put me into fourth place, and instead I took sixth, or if we would have taken something in between, I could have taken fifth. But no one in my flight had a perfect day, so I don't think it would be very fair to any of those lifters to assume that if I could have just fixed everything magically myself, that someone else couldn't have fixed something. There were quite a few missed lifts or lifts that got called against the lifter and taken back. So I don't have any regrets with that. I'm very content with the performance. I think we did learn a lot. I took a lot away from this. This was my first. This was technically my second full USAPL meet, and my first one that was anything like this scope. It was my first experience with being fully handled from the coaching team. My first USAPL Nationals. There were a lot of firsts that were happening for me, despite being involved in the sport for as long as I have been. And ultimately, my biggest takeaway is that I'm just thankful. I felt honored, and it was humbling and an awesome experience to share the platform with so many quality competitors who seemed like genuine, kind people as well. I have nothing but good things to say about everybody who I shared the platform with. If you lifted during that weekend, congratulations on being a part of such an awesome event, and thank you for sharing that event with me. To the meet director and his team and everybody who was involved in that, from the spotters and loaders who gave up their time, energy, and one girl even got her arm broken from a dropped squat. Like, you guys put yourself in this position with not a whole lot of. It's a pretty thankless job. Even more thankless, I think, tends to be the judges. Thank you all for giving your time and attention and energy to this. None of these things happen without these people, without the people who are willing to volunteer for judging and spotting and loading. And it's really tough to be a judge because you're putting yourself in a position where you almost are always going to be pointed to as the bad guy, whether you deserve it or not. And in my opinion, you don't really deserve it, because when the rest of us sign up to do these meets, we're putting ourselves in a position where we're opening ourselves up to your critique and your judgment. It's what you sign up for. If you don't want people to tell you that your squats are high, then don't compete in powerlifting. That's why we have the standards of the meet. And I personally feel like it's much more important to, or it is more preferred to have high standards that potentially can inhibit a lifter's ability to put as much weight on the bar, as opposed to lax standards that let lifts that are just not even close to the standard being passed. I guess that's personal preference, but I do prefer feeling confident that if I get a lift passed, that I had to work and earn it really hard. So I guess that's my takeaway from that. I had a lot of awesome interactions. I didn't have a single negative interaction from anybody that I talked to over the course of the weekend. It was an awesome experience, and I'm excited to look forward to doing the next one. Again, I learned so much, and let that be a lesson to anybody who hasn't been doing this for 17 years, that there's always more to learn. There's always further to go. There's always more growing to do. We may not be perfect, but we're so much further from finished. So thank you guys so much for listening to this. Hope it wasn't too rambly. I hope it was at least a little bit enjoyable, just hearing these thoughts. A lot of things are going to be worked on in the coming training blocks. I'm very thankful and appreciative of the training that I had into this meet, and I think we're going to take that and expand on it and grow and learn from the meet experience, and bring some fresh growth and new territory that I haven't been able to break into before. We've got a lot of momentum right now, a lot of drive, and a lot of things that I feel like a lot of factors that are being pointed towards real, true improvement in a place that I don't think I've been able to do it before. So thank you all for joining me on this and giving me your time. I appreciate it very much. Thanks to everybody who was at the meet, who participated in the meet, who put the meet on, who made it possible for me to share that experience with each and every one of you. Eternally grateful, and just excited to go and prepare for the next one. So live the grind, and I will talk to you all very, very soon. Have a great day.